Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
I don't want you to ride. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the streets. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
The whole world gone crazy! Am I the only one around here who gives a shit about the rules?
You have the luxury of not knowing what I know.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
All right, for those of you who don't know what that intro is all about, that usually comes on when I'm kind of perturbed about something. However, there is good news today in the convention of states world that I wanted to share with everyone. So today there were two floor debates going on, one in South Carolina and one in Kansas, and both of them seem to be going well for the most part. So that is not necessarily what the rant is about. What the rant is about is much more aligned with the nonsense. So let me just start by saying in Kansas, it was a vote for cloture, and that means we expect the final vote to be tomorrow, but it looks good in Kansas. So hopefully tomorrow we'll be announcing Kansas as the 18th state. South Carolina's debate was incredibly frustrating. I'm going to do a separate piece on that tomorrow because it didn't end. So this one guy got up, and I might just do another funny clip just lambasting him because he deserves it. He went up and started embarrassing himself and just taking the topic to places where everybody that was watching knows exactly what I'm talking about. But if you weren't watching, this guy, we were all just sitting there listening to him get into these conversations about, Black history and race. And it wasn't necessarily critical race theory talk. It was just not relevant to the convention of states. And everyone's just sitting there like, well, what's going on? When is this guy going to start talking about convention of states? If you have a gripe, let it out so we can then, rebut it. And eventually someone got up and started clubbing this guy with reality, and that was good. And then they stopped it because the guy dragged it too long, and now it's pushing off to tomorrow, which means with that pushing out to tomorrow, that puts us in a position where with South Carolina, we'll probably have to wait till Thursday. So definitely subscribe. Make sure you're subscribed on so you can get these updates and have these conversations, have these open conversations. How are you, Jacqueline? I see you out there. But I definitely want to start with this. We just started going live recently, and I wanted to kind of do this in a way to be more interactive and more engaged with the people who might have questions about. I get a lot of questions in various platforms in the comments that I feel like at some point I can just address right away in a video. So I thought, from the essence of what the think tank is, to get everyone's thoughts out there. So now in this situation where with the Kansas debates, so I clipped a video to give you an idea of how absurd some of the stuff that was going on was. This one woman steps up, all right, and there are two amendments in particular that jumped out at me that were just ridiculous. And then another one got passed that was fine. They wanted it could be, we'll see. They basically forced the Senate. This was in Kansas, I believe. They forced the Senate to also have a 2/3 vote, which technically is in their constitution already, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But, that amendment did pass, which I'm fine with. But then just to give you an idea of some of the stuff, watch this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. Happy International Women's Day. I have an amendment.
On page 1, following line 32, by inserting, be it further resolved, the majority of Kansas delegates to the convention of the state shall be women.
That's sexist.
That is sexist. That's sexist, and it's just stupid. Like why would you want this situation, something so important, to fall in the hands of manufactured diversity? So why would you not want the best scholars and the best. Now, not that they can't be women, they can be. But the point is, if they're not, that doesn't mean you don't you don't select them. Like whoever's available to you, whoever the best is, maybe it naturally turns out to be mostly women, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it turns out to be all white guys. I don't really care or all black guys. I don't really care what it turns out to be, as long as they're the smartest people that they can get to sit down and have this debate. So, but she wasn't, like, it didn't stop there. You thought that could be the dumbest thing that you could hear on an actual Senate floor during a live debate, that someone would actually do that. And what was crazier is some people came up and actually gave an eye to that. I'm just like, we need their names. Excuse me. I'm like, we need their names. It was just horrific. And, I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, you know what? I took the other one because the other one was so bizarre. I just thought I would share it with everyone who doesn't have the time to sit down and watch these things the way I do. Well, not that I have the time for it, but I let them run while I work. And here's the second doo-doo that that comes up with a brilliant idea.
That's sexist.
Wait, that's not her. That's not her. All right, I can't give you her because the clip cut short when rendering. I did this pretty quickly, but what she said basically was that she wanted to make an amendment to this resolution that in I forget, it had to have X amount of people that identified as one of the leftist categories, right? So it had to have X amount of people. And again, it comes into the same play. My apologies for missing that clip. It didn't render right, but in the end, it makes the same play, right? It makes the same play. It's like, just pick the best damn people. So fortunately, cooler heads prevailed. Everyone probably chuckled to themselves when these came up, and then they went ahead and blew it off. But like in the end, yeah, Jacqueline, it was stupid. It was amazingly stupid. I wish I didn't screw up that other clip because that one was even better than this one. But in the end, the bottom line is, right, the bottom line is good news, right? It passed in Kansas and should fully pass tomorrow. And then South Carolina also did very well. That should be up for the running on Thursday for final vote if all goes well. So we'll hit up on both of those. I wanted to give people a heads up. I wanted to talk a little bit. I put this in the title. Regarding the purpose of Article 5, of which there are many, but one of the main purposes that I wanted to have the conversation about was this Great Reset. So recently, if you haven't been watching, I have picked up Glenn Beck's book called The Great Reset, and I've been following this for some time anyway. I knew that it wasn't conspiracy theory for a long time, but I never actually had something to go to that was rich with sources the way this particular book is. So I'm getting through it very slowly because when I read books like this, especially when they're ebooks, I tend to click on a lot of links and I tend to go down some rabbit holes. So like a half hour goes by and I'm only 3 pages advanced because I clicked on 3 different things and I was reading the sources and and I kind of do that. So it's going to take me a little while to get through it. But it occurred to me how many people still think this Great Reset is like some sort of conspiracy theory and that it's not real or that it's, like, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands the Great Reset is a very real thing. They talk about it openly. It's not, the World Economic Forum talks about this, without blinking. They don't bat an eye at this. So, and in the end, there are, as creepy as it sounds and as conspiratorial as it sounds, and it is conspiracy. It's just conspiracy fact, not conspiracy theory. So I'll give you an example of some of the stuff that these people say. And this, what I'm about to show you, you can find this full video on YouTube. If you just look up World Economic Forum, you can find, they're open. They tell you what the plans are, and they're explaining to you basically in these forums, like, how well they've thought this out and what's so creepy about it is the tone and the way that they talk about it, like as if somehow they have the authority to do this, or even the wisdom to do this. And they're targeting people for their little think tanks that are under 30 years old, basically. And the reason that they're doing that is because that's where all the brainwashed are. Now, I'm not saying everybody under 30 is brainwashed, but I'm saying the vast majority of those who are brainwashed are under 30. Those who have grown up in this full blown, soup to nuts education system with Marxism from friggin' kindergarten to college, they're all under 30. All of them. So I want to give you an idea of some of the stuff that they talk about in these things. And actually, here's Klaus Schwab. Now, this guy is pretty much the ringleader of the whole thing. He's the president of the World Economic Forum. And I want to give you just hear some stuff from his words about who they're recruiting, and then I'm going to show you this woman who gives even a creepier description.
That's the reason why I'm so keen to provide also a forward-looking dimension to this Great Reset initiative by integrating the 10,000 global shapers, leaders between 20 and 30 years old.
So he says 10,000 global shapers and leaders, all under 30. Now, who determines that these people are global shapers and leaders? Well, Klaus does, obviously. Duh. This is twisted. I encourage everyone to go to YouTube, pull that up, and watch the full video, because when you listen to the way that it's not even like you expect what they're going to say to be creepy, but like it's the tone that they speak in. It's this condescending, like here, let me explain to you how we've planned your future life. Like you're going to love it. One of their slogans is you'll own nothing and be happy. But like when you listen to the tone of this woman, she can't be more than 30 years old. And she's sitting here as one of 3 people on this forum who are explaining this. Okay. You're going to see as this starts to make its move, and it's already begun making its move, you're going to see that all of these people are young. All except the ringleaders, except the people who are in charge are like knocking on heaven's door. But everybody else is 30 or under. All right, but listen to it.
A global future councils that will be pulling together new ideas in these spaces. And again, some of these have been perhaps in the fringes of the academic conversation already. What we now need to do is bring those ideas to the fore, because very much in the spirit of the Great Reset, this is the moment where we can proactively shape the economy that we want in the future.
So we can so she's talking there about creating forums and committees that, like, everything that you've heard about creepiness in elites goes on in this Great Reset project. We're talking about like international committees who are planning the economy and they're telling you, like, they're not telling you, that they're like explaining to you, so that like you, the simple commoner, can understand the infinite wisdom of these freaking sociopaths. Now, why am I bringing this up right now? Because this is what, in order for any of this stuff to work, in order for any of it to work, the United States has to be on board. They don't have Russia, okay? They don't have Russia, and they don't have Xi Jinping, and they likely don't have India, okay? In order for this to work at all, they need to have the United States. Now, what can be done? Are we going to go and fight this whole global movement like that as citizens? No, we're not. Like, that's not realistic. We're not going to change what goes on in Europe. We're not going to change, any of that stuff. But what can we change? We can change what goes on in our own government. And in order for this to work for them, there needs to be a completely centralized government. The central government needs to have as much power as is humanly possible. The Fiscal Restraints Amendment by itself just absolutely walks into that forum right there and just rolls a hand grenade right onto the stage. Okay, like just us passing fiscal restraints alone will walk right into the World Economic Forum and just roll a hand grenade right into the stage. That entire reset is blown up, because there's no way they have to keep printing money. This is all part and parcel. I didn't get into the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. I encourage you to watch it. It's incredibly boring, but I am putting together a collage video of it to kind of, just kind of a produced video, just to kind of give the short on what that forum was. Even doing that, it's been brutal trying to watch it. But like, I just wanted to give you that touch because, as I'm sitting explaining to some people that this Article 5 movement is going to stop the Great Reset, people look at me and they're like, what? Like, you believe in, like, I'm a flat earther, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, these people really don't pay attention to anything. And I'm just like, it's there, right? And I just showed you a couple clips, but like, in the end, there's a lot more than that out there. World Economic Forum they don't hide this. They don't hide this. They're truly sociopathic. They believe in their head that what they're doing is righteous. It's not even like, say, like it may be Satan over it all, but it's not even like, to them, it's not even satanic. Like, to them, this is like they're doing, like, don't you understand? Like, I'm taking care of you. Like, this is their attitude. And it's absolutely crazy that goes on. But lo and behold, it goes on. So, like, I just wanted to kind of bring some of that to light to you guys because, whenever you're seeing this video, whether you were one of the ones that were on, whether you're on now, whether you catch it later on, I want to kind of spark people, just like I ask you guys to throw me articles, and many of you do, and I thank you for them. If you've got more information on a topic that I'm covering, some angle maybe that I haven't hit, by all means, right? That's what the think tank is. We're sharing information here. We're sharing ideas. So, but this is an idea that I definitely, because there are like lifelong conservatives, patriots, et cetera, who totally think that the Great Reset is like some boogeyman, some crazy, QAnon conspiracy or something like that. Where in reality, like, this is right in the open, folks. Like, it's right in the open. And the way that we stop it is Article 5. Like, the government overreach. I mean, term limits are good for other reasons, but government overreach and fiscal restraints, that shuts it down. Freaks like that guy, like Klaus Schwab, I always screw his name up. Freaks like him and that little girl there, and I say little girl because mentally she's been raised by these clowns. So she is a little girl mentally. Okay? Freaks like that, these are people that there's more of them, by the way. And if you didn't notice, Biden mentions the Great Reset, or he says in his State of the Union speech, while talking about COVID, which is the context that they all talk about it in, he said, we need a reset. And nobody hears it because they're not thinking that way. Right? It's just like Marxism. Like, once you see what's been going on, once you understand this long term, you listen to Yuri Bezmenov and you read Alexander Solzhenitsyn and you see what they were trying to warn you about. Once you see that stuff, you can't unsee it. When they make these little references, and they do it all the time, and I don't know if they're poking people or what they're doing, but they do it, and they're trying to ease that message in. And the bottom line is the Great Reset is very real, and Article 5 is the way to shut it down. Because without the United States, Europe can't do anything by itself. And like I said, Russia is not engaged with this, which is a good reason. I'll get into this in a separate video. That's a good portion of why this entire conflict is going on right now, because Russia won't touch this. Neither will Xi Jinping. Okay? Soros has been outspoken about both of them. He hates both of them. And almost as much as he hates conservative Americans, almost as much, right? Almost as much as Trump, he hates them. But he hates them. He hates Putin, and I'm not saying Putin's a good guy. Don't get me wrong. He's not. In the Ukraine conflict right now, there are no good guys. Everybody's a bad guy in that entire thing. All right? The only thing there are in that conflict is victims. That's it. There's the Ukrainian citizens who are out there fighting for their lives, and God bless them, but they're on their own. Because I'm telling you right now, all of this is tied in. There's no reason. NATO could have walked out of there. I don't want to get into this right now. NATO could have backed away from Ukraine. None of this ever happens. But they kept poking because they need this to happen. Because he's not a part of this. He's not a part of this reset nonsense. And anybody who's not a part of it, you'll see them go after India soon. They ain't going to touch China. They ain't going to touch China. That I could tell you. They ain't touching China. I think they've already come to terms that they can run this reset and leave China alone, and just kind of like, because they ain't never selling this to China, and they're really not selling it to the United States as far as the people are concerned, and that's where this comes in, because they're selling it to Biden. That dude is all in. All right. Biden's all in. Pelosi's all in. There are Republicans that are in. All right. Don't get this left-right nonsense crazy. Fox News and MSNBC are reporting on Ukraine virtually the same way. Okay. This narrative is deep. These people are no joke. There's some serious business, but it's not like a foregone conclusion. It's not a foregone conclusion. We have Article 5. The states are moving, right? We started off this, for anyone who jumped on late, we started off saying South Carolina and Kansas, within the end of the week, it looks like both of them are going to be on board. Even though there are some dootaroos in there making these ridiculous arguments, it still looks like they're both going to be on board. And we're still waiting on Pennsylvania and Iowa. And there are others. New Jersey rewrote its resolution this year to add back in the government overreach amendment. So that's back on track. Now, if you live in New Jersey, to all of my people in Jersey, I'm in Cali now, but I spent a good 10 years there and grew up in Queens, New York. You guys need to get on your legislators there. Get on them. Get with that guy, the trucker guy who just won. He's a weapon, that guy. He's a weapon. He's inside. He's inside, right? These are all people. The next coming 2 years, it is all about state legislatures. All about it. It almost doesn't matter what else happens, because I can tell you right now, whoever gets elected, the machine's going to keep turning. The machine's going to keep, Trump got in, he disrupted a ton of stuff, but the machine kept turning. The machine kept turning, and the swamp kept getting filled, and the gators weren't dried out. Everything was still moving. And yeah, he was splashing and making waves and causing all this grief for everybody, but the deck kept moving. The deck kept moving. Right? So in the end, the only way to change this, the most powerful people in our political system right now, okay, are our state legislators. These are the most powerful people. Get to know yours. All right. I understand if you're in New York, I'm in California. If you're in New York City, you want to just throw your hands up. I get it. But these are the people that we need to pay attention to. We need to get those legislators right, so that when it's time, when it's time the resolution comes up in your state, that we're not dealing with these dootaroos talking nonsense about runaway conventions and everything else. That these things just fly through, and that they select delegates when that's over, because that's important too. They got to select the delegates. You want them selecting people who are going to look out for your interests, right? So it's very important that, because whoever you got, that's who reflects you. So, but I think I've covered everything that I really wanted to get off my chest today. Really, it was just the update on COS, and I wanted to just stick my toe in the water with everybody regarding this Great Reset. So feel free to leave in the comments, anything, how you thought about the Great Reset. Don't be afraid if you thought that it was nonsense, and now you see a couple of videos, like I'm sending these videos, and you're watching them tell you, and you're like, holy shit, this is real. If that's where you're at, embrace that, because we've all been there. We've all been there. I have evolved mentally over, when the Patriot Act came out, I was 100% for the Patriot Act. I thought, I'm from Queens, New York. I was living in Hackensack at the time. This thing was really personal to me. I was like, let's get him. Let's get him. Yeah, go Bush. Now, in hindsight, I'm ashamed that I like the Patriot Act. Now I sit back and I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? It's okay to grow and learn and think, and think differently. That's what it's all about. But we need to do that quickly, because this Great Reset is happening. All right. So on that note, please feel free to comment. So, again, I kind of sprung on everybody today. I'm going to try and pick a time that I come on consistently, so that you can kind of expect it. But whenever something like this happens, like today, where there were two different items, two different floor debates on COS, one of which got a vote, the other did not, I feel like I need to get out there and kind of make it heard. So with that being said, thank you. Make sure you subscribe. We're almost at 800, guys. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please get over there. We're at 792 or something like that, or some weird number, 790 or something like that. But 10 more to 800. We're trying to get to 1,000 there, and then we're going to turn our focus more on Facebook. So our first goal when we started, we're almost a year in now. So our first goal when we started was that. Now that's a year in, with being suspended 3 times on YouTube, and right now we're broadcasting to both Facebook and YouTube. But we got suspended a bunch of times. First 4 months, we were putting out 1 episode a week for an hour and a half long. Nobody knew who we were. I think we kind of got it dialed in. The production wasn't as good. Everything was kind of messy, but we've kind of found our way here. So I hope you're enjoying the content. And then other than that, I think I'm out. Take care, folks.
And like that,